Hello you lovely people, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave Keeffe and this is ABL Reselling. Now you've just caught me back from an absolutely immense weekend party with a load of bikers basically. It's a rally I go to every year because it's my birthday weekend. I'll let you speculate amongst yourselves how old do you think I am? Please be kind. So I haven't been out boot selling this weekend, but it's not just boot sales that I source from, obviously. Just recently I've been up in the game trying to educate myself and trying to become more proficient with auctions. And what I thought I'd do in today's video is take you through some recent auction pickups and let you know how I've been going about my learning process with it. There are some whopping great mistakes in there, but there are also some potentially very, very juicy items as well. So I'm going to take you through what I picked up from the auctions. These are over the last probably week, maybe week and a half, 3 or 4 different auctions and a wide variety of stuff from those auctions as well. Let's get into it then and I'll show you what I've got. So this is the little treasure trove. Aside from the gloves on the radiator, which are still drying out from a rather soggy ride home from the rally at the weekend. So what I thought it might be prudent to do is, unlike the boot sale videos that I do where I don't necessarily tell you how much I paid for stuff because it's obviously very subjective to the boot sales, I thought I might do on this occasion because buying things from auctions is still something that's very, very new to me. So I think it's going to be very important and a real benefit getting some feedback from you guys as well. But also for people that have had even less experience than I have with the auctions, I think it might be beneficial as well just to get a bit of a feel for the train of thought that went into each item as well. So let's get into it then. The first one could well turn out to be probably the biggest fail here actually, even though this is a really, really nice brass vintage anniversary clock. There's nothing really significant about it. I think I got carried away with the bidding on this. I mean, it's a lovely bit of kit, but you can imagine it's very delicate because this is a glass dome. I have actually wound it up and it needs servicing. So the hammer price on that was £20, but with fees it took it up to £24.32. I'm very tempted to stick that one on Marketplace and see what happens there before I go to any kind of effort in perhaps getting it serviced to get a reasonable return on it. So that one I have a sneaking suspicion may be hanging around for a while, waiting for me to stop scratching my head with what to do with it. Chalk it up to experience and move on. The next item is a clock as well. But I got very, very excited about the auction on this as well because there are comps for this carriage clock. It's by Russell's Limited of Paris. Now the last one of these that sold on eBay went for just shy of £700, and this one actually looks nicer. It's got the full mechanism you can see inside there. It's got its little key with it, and it's a really substantial bit of kit. There's a nice little dome on the top there that you can see the mechanism working. Now there is a bit of good news, bad news with this. It's certainly not going to be a fail of any description. However, I did pay £130 for this clock plus fees, so it's going to be just shy of £150 total cost for it. It does need servicing as well. On the base is the dates of the last service, and the last service was 2006, so long overdue. Now I'm going to have 2 bites of the cherry on this, well hopefully only one. The first run I'm going to put this up on auction and start it at £299 and see where it goes. Obviously mention the fact that it needs servicing and just judge the results from there. Ideally it will sell and I won't have to go through the efforts of getting it serviced and all that kind of thing, but even if it doesn't and the auction times out without a sale, I can get it serviced and stick it back on at a higher value. I'm just kind of thinking that it would obviously save me the effort, although something like this is worth the effort putting into it, and still give me a strong return. Next up we've got a really nice Jubilee mint coin. This is a Queen Victoria silver double florin. It's just in absolutely immaculate nick. It's difficult to make out on the picture, but it's in a little plastic case as well with its certificate in it. Now there are a few comps for this coin, but none of which are in a presentation case with the certificate of authenticity. So for those reasons I think this will command a higher price for the comps that are on already, which are not staggering to be fair. So the breakdown of the price of it, the hammer was £27 and the sales premium on that was £4 £14.86 with the VAT at 97p. So we're looking at 32.5, give or take, there and thereabouts. And my estimate listing value on this coin is £60 to £65. So after fees and not staggering profit, but still a decent return. Now this nested tables was the proof in the pudding that it's always as well going to have a look at the auctions. Quite a few of these items, in fact the majority of these items, if I'm totally honest, I bid on blinds, just going off the pictures on the auctioneer's website and the auction catalogues rather than going in to physically check, which I would strongly recommend that everybody does. Obviously it's not always practical, but you've essentially bid in blind if you don't do that. And I was caught out a little bit. I say caught out, it's my own bloody fault on these tables. I'm not averse to selling a nice nested tables, particularly more vintagey, antique ones. They fetch really good money. I've sold a few sets this year. This set is clearly a vintage nested tables with a leather top, but they do need a little bit of TLC as far as restoration goes. Let's take them out, have a look. It's just the tops really, and although I do know a couple of tricks on how to go about tarting them up a bit, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I want to put the effort into doing it, so I'm going to have a go at selling them as they are. I mean, they're a nice set and obviously a little project for someone, but we're not talking staggering value though. So the hammer price on these was £14, and with the fees, that takes it up to closer to £16. But even in the condition they are, and there are comps for very, very similar tables to this at around about the £60 to £80 mark, I'm going to stick these on at £50 and see where we go, perhaps take offers on those. This Adler Gabrielle typewriter is in absolutely gorgeous condition. So I did have a bit of fiddle with this one as well. A really nice vintage item that still has a great marketplace for. It's been a while since I've done any typewriters because the price kind of did tank a bit for them, but if you get the right ones, there's still very, very, very good margin in them. So checking the invoice on this, I paid £4 for a hammer, and with the fees it takes it up to £5.20, and I'm really confident on this one that with a listing value of £45 that will absolutely fly as well. Couple of pairs of wellies now. These are more for fishing. We have some chest waders and some thigh waders. So the thigh waders I paid just over £5 including fees, and the chest waders just over £7 including fees. The thigh waders are actually branded as well, Masterline. They're going to be getting listed for £20, and the chest waders, these are really good quality. There's like a neoprene, like a thick wetsuit type material. These will be getting listed for £50. They do need a bit of a clean up those, but they're in really, really good nick. Now I was really impressed with this footstool. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, I wouldn't have it in my own house, but as far as reselling is concerned, this G-plan footstool is absolutely stunning. Now there's no damage to the fabric, there's very, very little wear on the wooden ends. Again, some signs of age, but no damage. The only damage to it is to one of the casters on the bottom. So one of the wheel bit of one of the casters is missing, but obviously I'll mention that in the listing as well. Now, including the fees, I paid just over £7 for this G-plan stool. And even with that damaged caster, I mean, it doesn't rock because it's just the turny bit of the wheel. So, I mean, there's a little bit of movement in it, but nothing significant. So even with that damaged wheel, I'm still going to put a listing value on this of £80. For this type of stool in this condition, there are comps around about that mark as well, so I've every confidence that that will come in. And yeah, it's heavy, but size wise it's not too bad. I've certainly got a box that I can put that in. A little bit more of a pain in the chuff to send out, but I tend to find because a lot of people are put off larger and heavier items, there's better margin in them. Next up we have a vintage Gianni Conte briefcase. I've done quite well with vintage briefcases in the past, and this one just reeked of quality. It's a really, really lovely bit of kit. Lots of compartments. I suppose you'd be able to get a laptop in there as well at a push. And there's a really strong smell of leather to it as well. Absolutely oozing quality. Just shy of £8.5 including the fees. And the listing value I'm going to be putting on that is £30. Now, at my local auction house, towards the end of the day, it's a long day for them as well, with starting the auctions at 9 o'clock and it's getting to about 7 o'clock by the time they're finishing. The last few auctions of the day are just basically random crap. So, I mean, this box of bits came all together, and I can't remember how it was described, but it was along the lines of a box of crap, basically. So I think I paid about £4 or £5 plus fees, but going through it, there is some value. There is definitely some value in here. I mean, that's just a bit of a camera case. It's probably not worth very much. A knackered tripod. However, there are some half-decent stuff as well. Certainly something that's worthwhile me putting a little bit of time into seeing if it's working. The reason I went for this as well, it wasn't just getting giddy and getting carried away, is I did notice a couple of things in this box that had value as spares or repairs. So for the £4, whatever it was that I paid for this box, it was safe. It was worth taking that punt. So the ones that do have a little bit of value, spares, repairs, is this Jvc Gr Dvx48 Camcorder. I mean, obviously it's very old, but the tape camcorders working hold reasonable value. Even spares or repairs, you're looking about, say, £10 to £15 on that one. Next, just a cosmic symbol. Again, probably about £5's worth of value on that one. Some brass weights, which will be dead handy if I come across scales, which I do sell very regularly, and it's missing its weights, so they can be put aside ready to be bundled. Another camcorder. This is a Panasonic SDR T70. Now, tested and working, you're probably looking at around about a £30 listing value on that one. Even selling it on its own as parts, £10 to £12. Empty case. I think that's just a really crappy, yeah, that'll end up in the bin, really crappy camcorder. Another one, here we are, Sony Handycam. This is a DCR SR57. Tested and working, the listing value on that would be £75 to £85. But even spares and repairs, again, probably £20, £25, that kind of mark. So already on this box, I am way into profit. Even worst case scenario. The reason I mentioned this box and going through it and buying just sort of like the dregs at the end of the auctions is because it makes it more accessible to people who are just either reselling hobbyists or have got very restricted budgets. Now, it could quite easily have been the fact that this box was a load of crap, basically. So you've got to have a sharp eye as well, and you've got to think of worst case scenarios. And looking at the images that went with this box, I'm thinking worst case scenarios. I'm thinking that everything was broken, it would have to be sold spares, repairs, or just binned, and a still sort value. And lastly, I have absolutely no idea what that is. It looks like an adapter for a camera lens. Yeah, I think these are adapter rings for a camera lens. Televerter, maybe even a video camera, vintage video camera. Warrants a little bit more investigation, that one, because some of them have good value, but I'm not seeing any branding, recognizable branding on here. But even so, chances are there's a bit of value in that as well. So certainly worth a while paying what I did for that box. Moving on now, I got a bit carried away with the clocks. This one, until just recently, has been driving me insane because it started ticking again. It needs winding up. I've been recently watching series 4 of Stranger Things, and a grandfather clock that chimes when somebody's about to die appears a few times in it. And I was watching an episode of Stranger Things and this chimed and I absolutely crapped my pants. Now, I think with the money that I spent on the other clocks that I've been looking at, I'll rule out the carriage clock, which has the potential to have some serious value in. But the other 3 clocks, certainly the anniversary clock and another one in a moment I'll come on to, this one will probably pay for any potential mistakes on the other ones, because you can probably tell, can you hear? Yeah, I just think it's creepy. I don't see the attraction. This mantle clock is by HAC. Strong precedent as far as comps go for this clock and this style clock. Clearly a vintage piece, lovely, clearly in working order. My terror can attest to that. So cost price to me was just over £24, and there's a decent amount of comps actually for this and this type of clock, from between £70 and £95. So for the listing value for this video, I'm going to put a listing value of £80 on it. Next up is this. It's just got really, really random. Is this Rescue 800 Buoyancy aid. Obviously, it's more of a professional job. The brand is Palm. Now, there are a couple of comps for this as well. This is size large, extra large. This is more of a, like I say, a more professional, better kit. The two comps for this exact vest, in fact, I think probably at a similar size as well, are coming in at £100. And like I say, the cost to me was £24 and a bit, including the fees. Now, because of the limited number of comps on this, the chances are it'll be hanging around for a little while. But the thing that might combat that is the fact there's very little competition. This stood out to me. This is a vintage fire screen, but it does actually turn into a table as well. So it's a fire screen come table with a silk embroidery screen on it as well. It does look a little bit tired with age, but I think people that are looking for this type of item are very forgiving over age-related wear. There's no chunks out of this, there's no cracked bits, it's not missing anything. It really is just wear, and I think with a bit of effort from, not me, it will get it looking absolutely pristine. Or it's a matter of taste anyway. Perhaps the person that does end up buying this will just leave it as it is. Now, the cost to me on this, including the fees, was a touch over £9.50, and the listing value I'm going to put on it is £45. Incidentally, when I'm going through this lot, just assume that all the evaluations I'm putting on them are plus postage, because they certainly will be. And obviously in the case of the larger, heavier items, that's something I'm going to be acutely aware of. Next up, a more modern item. This is an eBac dehumidifier. This is the 2650E. Probably going to go along the marketplace route for this to get it sold. Cost price to me was a touch over £12.50. Strong comps on eBay, so it may well end up on eBay, but I'm going to have a go at marketplace first because of the size and the weight of it, because it is a heavy old bugger. There are a load of comps for dehumidifiers on eBay though, so it is very, very tempting, because obviously I'm not going to get as much for it in marketplace. Assuming though for the video that I'm going to put it on eBay, there's comps between £80 and £150. So I'm going to go in at £100 with this one, just to move it along that bit quicker. But I suspect the reason why comps are all over the place is because of what I mentioned before, and people being afraid of posting heavier, more awkward items. And again, it's not something I'm afraid of doing, but I'm very conscious about the size of the items for storing them more than anything else. More than happy to get them out the door once they're sold though. So £100 listing value on that one. And incidentally, that is tested and working. And it's got a spare filter and instructions with it. This is what I was talking about. This is just so creepy. Okay, next up, some cute acoustic shelf speakers. I've probably made a bit of a cock up on these, to be honest. I shouldn't have picked them up, because the cost price to me was £18.50 untested. I mean, they are a good quality pair of speakers. Very, very limited comps on these. Now for the video, and it really is wishful thinking at this stage, because like I say, they aren't tested. The listing value I'm going to put on them is £30, because there are comps for a tested and working set at that kind of valuation. Aside from being a bit grubby, I've had the fronts off and the cones look good, so needing a bit of a wipe down. They're not missing any fixings, and they don't look damaged to the back. I'm reasonably confident that they work, but if they don't work, they're going to end up in the bin. So that's probably the biggest gamble. So best case scenario, £30, and it's not enough of a comfortable margin for, in hindsight, for it to have been worthwhile paying what I did for them. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. Another box of the end of the auction tats. I paid really, really very, very little for this box of frames. £6 for all these frames, and the thing that made my ears prick up is there's some solid brass photo frames. I think some frames do quite well on eBay. These will be really easy to post anyway. anyway. Some of them are brand new. There's some interesting Art Deco type ones. Oval one there, a bit more Art Deco-y, mother of pearl. And there are some quirky ones as well, some pewter smaller frames as well. So I may well bundle some of these smaller frames, bundle them by brass or by the pewter, that kind of thing, and see where we end up. So, yeah, nothing of any note in there, but I think for my £5 plus fees, I think that's pretty safe money. And even if that is in the corner of the office until I'm started scratching for stock to list come winter, that may well be the case as well. From my most recent auction now, this is a Belkin Soundform Elite speaker. They did have a few of these, but this is the only one I won. So not a great amount of precedent for these, and I did actually pay up for it as well at £33. These were all tested and working though. By the auctioneers. So the cost price to me was £33, including the fees, and the listing value for it is £70. And from the same auction house, we've got 3 opened, not used Logitech C310 HD web cameras. So including fees, £16.50 for all of them, and the listing value on them will be £15 each. So next is, this is only less creepy because it needs servicing. This is a Smith's Westminster Chime clock, obviously another mantle clock. Just turn it around so you can have a look. I've given this a wind and it does need servicing. However, it just means that I'm going to do the same thing with this as I did with the original carriage clock. The chances are, well, in fact, I'd say chances are, I would definitely be listing it on auction as a first roll of the dice before I go down the servicing route. But there are comps for this clock, and there are a few different styles. For a Smith's Westminster Chime clock, comps are between £80 and £150, and the cost price to me was a touch over £26. So I think what I'll do from the get-go is start an auction at say £45, perhaps £50, and see where it goes from there. And if it doesn't sell in the first cycle, then go down the servicing route and perhaps see if I can arrange a deal to get the ones that need servicing done all at once. A nice reasonable sized footstool now, actually, with Queen Anne legs, really nice leather stud detail. It does need a wipe down. Most of it's just a bit of gunk. There's no rips or tears to the leatherette top. It is a little bit unsightly, but I'm kind of thinking the people that would buy this type of thing anyway may well be looking at recovering it. Paid £10 plus fees for this, so just over £12. And having sold a similar stool to this just recently, albeit with a fabric top, I'm pretty confident of a listing value of £40 to £50 on this, obviously plus postage. So we're not talking significant margin again, but for the purposes of education and really finding my feet with this type of stuff, it's a good way to fund an education. I know yet some of these will be cock-ups and all that kind of stuff, but I don't mind at all because I'm investing in my future in reselling, and part and parcel of that is making cock-ups and being able to recover from them, learning from your mistakes. So I don't think this is going to be a mistake at all because it's a lovely item, just perhaps not a significant margin in it that I would like, but that's where I'm going to end up, and this is part of the journey to get there. This is probably, I just love this stool. I think it's stunning. It's a camel leather saddle seat, including the fees, just over £23. I just think there's something about it. I think it's going to take really nice pictures, and I think it's going to go for very strong money. Now, there are comps for really similar looking stools from between £50 and £140. This is not going to be any great shakes sending this out either, but I just think it's gorgeous. And my train of thought with stuff like this is, even if I can't really prove the value, if I think it's gorgeous personally, then I'm absolutely sure that somebody else in eBay land is going to agree with me. And over the years, I've made quite a number of purchases based on that. And yeah, of course, sometimes I've been wrong and been off the mark and all that kind of stuff. But in the main, it's not a completely beyond the realms of fantasy kind of train of thought to be having. Just obviously, if you are going to attempt to do that yourself, then just make sure you can afford to lose the money. Make sure that you've considered worst case scenario, because everybody gets it wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. And if the fact I can prove that a listing value on this, it just adds strength to the argument. I'll be entirely honest with you. At the time I'm making this video, I don't know what I'm going to. I know I'll make money on it. I'll absolutely definitely make money on this. But I think I'll go high and see where I end up. Perhaps stick a listing value of up towards the top end of that £140 listing value that I can prove from comps, and just see where I end up, because I just think it's lovely. It only needs to wipe down a bit of gunge that it's picked up in storage kind of thing, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful bit of kit, and I'm sure somebody will agree with me out there. So watch this space for that stool. Another item that stood out, because this is absolutely lovely. I think this is a teak coal scuttle. It's got its liner with it as well. Oh, even a box of matches, how very considerate. And on the back, a nice solid brass handle. On the back, a lovely accompanying shovel. I think this will sell really, really well. There is a bit of weight to it, and obviously size, so consider that when I'm posting it, as with a number of these items. The cost price on it was a touch over £36, and this again is going to be one of those items that I bought because I've got a feeling about, because I can't really prove strong comps for it. There are some comps for similar items at around about the £40 to £80 mark, but there's something about this one that just tickles me taste buds. So I'm going to stick a listing value on this of £50 and perhaps revise that upwards when it comes to actually listing it, because I just think it stands out. And last from this selection is this Brexton Picnic Set. I can get it open. This is absolutely lovely. It is actually missing a few bits. There's some of the cutlery's missing. It does have the correct number of plates, I think, by the looks of it. The cup is missing from one of the flasks. If you can get these in good condition and complete, then you're looking at around about the £60 to £70 mark. But for this one, not so much, because obviously it's not complete and it's not in the best of conditions. I'm gonna need to spend a bit of time cleaning it up for the pictures. But I'm prepared to do that anyway, because like I say, it's all part of this learning experience for me. Cost price is £14.22, and the listing value I'm going to put on it is £35. So again, not staggering margin, but still an investment in education. Now, there's going to be some people watching this video who are more adept than I am with auction processes and what to pick up from auctions, that are thinking I'm absolutely bananas for some of these pickups. And to be fair, you probably are in some instances. But one thing I set my stall out to do this year is educate myself on auction processes, the items I need to be taking more interest in, perhaps more vintage items, true vintage items, and quirkier stuff as well. One thing that is very, very much in my mind is the winters in the UK are very, very long, and I'm still doing a lion's share of my sourcing from boot sales. Now this year, I don't want to go into winter personally scratching around for stock to list and scratching around for ways to earn money. So this is why I'm starting relatively early in the year to prepare for winter. And then of course, I'm more than happy to take you guys along on that journey, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips on what to do and what not to do. I'm more than happy for everybody to learn by my cock-ups. Anyway, it's a bit of a different video today. I hope it's hit the mark with at least some of you out there. If it has, please give it a thumbs up. It very much helps the channel. And of course, I know you're probably already subscribed. If you're not, smash that subscribe button, and the notification bell will give you a notification of next time I post a video up. Saturday at 5 PM will be the next installment of my more traditional boot sale video, so watch out for that. In the meantime, I've been Dave Keeffe. You've been amazing. I shall see you in the next one. This is what I was talking about. This is just so creepy.